But starting from the next month, right, starting from the December 1st, we'll start working on Advent of Code, right, because the Advent of Code is actually starting. Advent of Code 2021, right, this one. So, and I'm going to be trying to do some streams on the Advent of Code. So it's starting in 37 hours. So yeah. And the theme of this year Advent of Code is going to be Temple OS. So the idea of my streams is going to be, I'm going to set up Temple OS on a virtual machine. I think I'm going to set it up on QEMU. And I'm going to try to solve all of the Advent of Code problems using only Holy C. So that's going to be the challenge of this year Advent of Code. The last year we did, the challenge was to use a different language for each problem. In fact, I think you can still find it, AOC 2020. So I think we managed to do all of that successfully. Right, so here we used different language for each individual problem. And the last one was solved in assembly. We even used assembly, x86-64 assembly for Linux and NASM specifically. So if you're watching live, I'm going to copy that in the chat. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to put that in the description. Advent of Code 2020, and here it is. So we can find it in here. It's kind of interesting. Emacs highlights this thing, but doesn't highlight this one. It's kind of sus, not gonna lie. Right, and the Advent of Code itself, right, so it's gonna be available in here. Advent of Code 2021. So I'm gonna actually say my solutions to Advent of Code 2020. Nico Red H, thank you so much for 2 months. Yay, indeed. Thank you so much for 2 months of Twitch Prime subscription. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and welcome to our epic Advent of Code Club, I suppose. Right. So, and as I already mentioned, the Advent of Code 2020 was basically use different language for each problem. 2021 is going to be use Holy C for the entire Advent of Code, right? So I don't know, like how I'm going to be sharing the solutions, and also how I'm going to be getting the solution out of Temple OS, because I'm not sure if there's any like reasonable way for for Temple OS to interact with the things outside of the virtual machines. So it's not like, well, it uses FAT32, right, or some sort of modification of FAT32. So I should be able to kind of like mount the Temple OS file system and like take files out of it. I'm not sure, I will have to research that. So luckily, the first problem of Advent of Code is usually some sort of a hello world. So we can spend the entire first stream just setting up Temple OS development environment, right? So we're gonna just create like a virtual image, like install Temple OS in there, like research how to get the files out of the Temple OS, and so on and so forth.